Yahoo! Hey. Welcome to Making Music. My name is Dan Aronie, and I'll be your host for the next 30 minutes. And this show, of course, is brought to you by Guitar Showcase in San Jose, California. We are with Peter Grant today. Welcome to the show, Peter. It is an absolute pleasure. I've been waiting. I've seen this on the calendar for the last month, and I have actually really been waiting to get with you and have this show. You have been around forever, and you've been on so many different albums, and I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But before we get started, I want to read a quote I found, and this is from a great musician, David Lindley, and he wrote, "I've known Peter Grant for years, and he's always scared me whenever he plays. It's not the fear of spiders or fear of death, it's the fear of not practicing enough to be able to play the same things that Peter can play, and it's not technique for technique's sake. It's just good, scary stuff that comes directly from the heart by way of the brain. He's the master of the snapper. What I mean is when you're on stage playing with him on some tunes, he'll do something so mind-blowingly amazing that your head snaps around automatically to see what he just did. I would recommend buying anything he records. Get Scared, David Lindley." And then also from Mike Aldridge, a little something as well. It says, "Peter Grant is a great player, equally at home on dobro, lap steel, Weizenbohr, and pedal steel. And this guy does it all and does it beautifully with heart and soul." Mike Aldridge. It was a fantastic dobro player. Not bad, huh? Now, where do you go from there?
I don't know. Then I have to play after that.
Oh, man. Well, let's go back. I mean, you know, again, we've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Let's start at the beginning. I know at the, way back when you actually took lessons from Jerry Garcia.
Yeah, but before that, I took Hawaiian guitar lessons when I was 10. Mm-hmm. Some guy came to our door in San Carlos and knocked on the door and had this little square neck guitar and said, "Is your mom home?" And yeah, I knew it was for me. And "Hello, madam. I could give your son a music aptitude lessons, and if he passes it, we can give him lessons." And I passed.
A door-to-door dobro sales.
Yeah, it was. and the trouble was they had this method, the Oahu method, and it was Oahu Publishing Company, and you just had to do this particular method. So it's like play that note, type that note out for me, what kind of note is that? You didn't play a quarter note. I mean, later on when I was in college, I found my sheet music and I said, "Oh, dotted quarter note. I just learned about that." Yeah. And they gave me took me past stuff I didn't understand, and didn't let me play the current stuff, and I had to play Hawaiian music, so I quit.
So where'd you go from there?
Well, it also had something to do with the way I now teach, because I don't teach that way,
Right.
But I didn't. Then I started again when I was about 17 or 18. I figured you get four fingers, you don't want to be outnumbered, so I took up 4-string guitar. So, and then I figured, well, 5th string on the banjo, you don't do too much with it, so I went to a 5-string banjo. Okay. And then that's when I took from anybody who, by that time I was, after I'd been playing a little bit, I went to San Jose State, and then there were 3 guys that played, Al Marion, George Martin, not the George Martin, Beatle George Martin, but George Martin, Al Marion, and Todd Cleve, and I would chase them around. and say, hey, show me something else. I got to learn that thing that you showed me. Now show me something else.
Right.
So I'd pester them until I could learn some things. And then I had the reputation of playing Darlene Corey longer and louder than, and more often than anybody else on the planet.
So where'd the Garcia connection come in?
So then Garcia was up in Palo Alto, and he was playing, and he was always just legendary. You know, he was
and he was teaching actually in Palo
and he
Alto.
actually taught at Dana Morgan's music studio, and I used to go up. First started teaching taking lessons at his house, and then I taught there. And then one time he said, well, you know, I said, hey, I'm ready for another lesson. He said, no, you're not. He says, I've shown you everything. You just have to work at it now. so I worked at it. And I had bluegrass bands in the early 60s, and we're through all the, you know, what Martin Mo refers to as the folk scare of the 60s, you know.
Well, that was big during the 60s.
Yeah. And
because we're gonna show some pictures later on. There's a picture with you with Joan Baez.
Yeah.
So we'll have that. We'll talk about a little bit later on.
Yeah.
But I want to hear another tune.
Okay.
What do you got?
Let's play a bluegrass thing, just for the heck of it.
All right. And oh, by the way, we have Jack Van
Yes, we
Breen.
do.
Jack Van Breen playing guitar for us today, and Tim Allen is
Yeah.
our handy dandy bass player.
Yeah, and I haven't
Awesome,
played with
Tim.
these guys in years and years and years.
So I want you to know we've practiced all of 5 minutes for this.
Well, 3.5.
3.5.
So here's a old Lefty Frizzell tune called "Gone, Gone, Gone." We'll just wing it. Okay. 1, 2, 1. Just look at the trouble I'm in. Yeah, she's gone, 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 gone. Crying won't bring her back. The more that I cry, the faster the train flies farther on down the track. Be happy when I lost the heaven that I found. She warned me she'd leave and she left me before my first tear hit the ground. Yeah, she's gone, 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 gone. Crying won't bring her back. The more that I cry, the faster the train flies farther on down the track. Find her, I'd crawl there on my hands and knees. Each tick of the clock's a reminder that she's 1 second farther from me. Yeah, she's gone, 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 gone. Crying won't bring her back. The more that I cry, the faster the train flies farther on down the track. The more that I cry, the faster the train flies farther on down the track.
Yahoo!
Thank you, gentlemen.
And my head only snapped twice. Oh, well, we're going to go. You brought some pictures along. And we want to, and each one tells a little story. So we're going to get these pictures brought up on the screen. Now tell us about this
my first
one.
electric guitar.
Yeah.
And growing hair to beetle length, and First, a Fender Jazzmaster.
Yes.
Yes, sir. We
And
can
it looks,
continue
I'm
on
going to
that.
guess by looking at it, 1962-ish, 1963.
363.
Yeah.
That'd be 63.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's the.
Tell us about this one.
That's a band called Weird Harold. I was for a very short time. I was in that band. It was a local San Jose band. That was after I was in People. I was in People for a while. I played bass for People. While Robbie had mononucleosis.
Killer
Now, what is
bands.
that prop?
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they-
yeah,
what, now,
yeah.
tell me, what's the prop in that picture? It looks like a
It's-
spaceship a little bit, but
Yeah,
I can't
well,
really tell.
We might have been abducted at that point. It could be, but it was somewhere up in San Francisco. We
Really?
went on a photo shoot. Cowtown! I played at Cowtown for 3 years, 6 nights a week.
Yeah.
And there's Pete Grant, Hoyt Henry, Roy McMeans, Linda Henson, Don Cox, and Greg Coben. Greg Coben is a son of the late Cy Coben, who wrote not only Sweet Violets, but he wrote Good Woman's Love and a bunch of other great
Yeah,
songs.
of course, Don Cox was very famous. Cowtown
That's
was
right.
years and years and
Exactly,
years.
yeah.
And he was the mainstay there, and boy, what a lot of great tunes
Yeah.
out of there.
Yeah, so I left that band and immediately joined the Hoyt Axton band, and
Yeah.
we can go on from that picture to the
Now,
next one. I think
this
we can.
picture is,
That's me and Hoyt, and there's Mark. I'm in the middle there, and that's probably at the Palomino Club. And then, yeah, 3 weeks from when I'm sitting at Cowtown drinking a rum and coke, I'm sitting backstage with Teddy and Doyle, the Wilmer brothers, and Nicolette Larson, sitting backstage playing music with him. You know, and it's like my first gig with Hoyt was the Grand Ole Opry, no rehearsal, just kind of show up and play.
just with no rehearsal.
No rehearsal, yeah.
Oh, my
we
goodness.
ran down the song in the back room, and he says, your job is to please the audience, and if you please the audience, I'm happy. You don't have to play what's on the record or anything else like that. Now here I am. One of the things we did was Mimi Frenia's Bread and Roses Festival, and one of the years, well, that's my first 10-6 dobro, so that's probably 76 or 77. It was all acoustic festival, and
Yeah.
Jackson Browne and David Lindley played acoustically, and
So who
all
are
kinds
these?
of people.
Who's in the picture then?
Bananas on the left, Mimi Frenia in a wig is on the next, and then Joan Baez's manager is there, and then the other blonde wig is Joan Baez, and then there's that
Ugly guy?
that handsome fellow
No,
Pete
yeah.
Grant. and then I joined the New Riders. I joined the New Riders first, and then I went
New Riders of the Purple Sage.
yeah, and then I
Okay.
joined
how long
the
were you
Dillards.
with them?
Just a few months. We didn't have a recording contract, and I was
Really?
living in LA.
Yeah.
And so I joined the Dillards because their banjo player had, in the middle of a tour, had thrown down his banjo and jumped off the stage in the middle of a concert. I got a call from Denver, and Rodney and Hero Peterson and I had a band together, and then I did that. There's me and James Garner, and that's one of the reasons I left the road, because I missed a party at James Garner's house with Hoyt Axton, Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
he used to have just nice these picking parties. you
Yeah.
know. And you know, sometimes you sit around and you know, one time somebody played an Elvis song. I go, why is he singing an Elvis song? Well, he wrote it, you know. And there I am in Ireland.
Now, we'll talk about this
Okay.
a little bit later,
Okay,
too.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is, go ahead and describe that.
Yeah,
now.
this is a session in Dunsany, which is just like a little place in County Meath that we fell upon the first time that we were there, my wife and I. And I've gone back every other time that I've gone just to go to the session.
And we'll
It's
do a
just
plug for
bunch of old
Phyllis
guys.
right now, because
right.
she's been, how long have you guys been married?
37 years.
That's, yeah, you better be careful.
We've been together 37 years, anyway. 30s, yeah.
But we have to,
37.
because you know,
Yeah.
the life of a wife
Oh,
of
yeah,
a musician
exactly.
is not
Yeah.
the easiest thing in the world.
Hey,
So we
look
got
at
to put
this.
a plug in for
Here's
her.
my gold album and my
Yeah.
double platinum album that I'm on.
So you're on that. That's the Grateful Dead album.
Grateful Dead album,
Yeah.
and then oh no, that's not a double platinum. That's another Grateful Dead-ish thing, the Persuasions thing with Grateful Dead, and that was real fun because the Persuasions were backing me up. I was playing a solo and they're going woo. It was awesome. It was like wow. Okay.
And you
here's
do
some
endorsements, and we'll
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that
Okay,
a little later
yeah.
too. I
Yeah.
know you've done Oscar Schmidt and
yeah.
Ebo and Deering Banjo.
Yeah, I helped to develop the EBO for the pedal steel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And there's some Hoyt Axton records that I was on. Yeah. Okay. And there's Tony. There's That's the
And
double
so
platinum
here's,
album.
you're
Yeah.
on a pedal steel on a rhythm and blues album.
yeah, and it
And this
just-
thing's gone double platinum?
Double platinum,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's amazing. I mean, I can't even
Yeah.
visualize a pedal steel on
Oh, it was great.
on
It
rhythm
fit
and
very
blues.
nicely. Yeah, as a matter of fact, after that, Andre Crouch heard that and started using pedal steel on his stuff too.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing. Well, here we are back
and
again.
it was just very serendipitous because they were coming into a session that I was doing beforehand. I was doing it with somebody else, and they said, "Hey, we never used that instrument. Let's try that." You know, so there I was.
Now let's talk a little bit about, you made 3 trips to Ireland.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to do a dobro tune in a little bit,
Yeah, yeah.
but tell us a little bit about the Ireland.
I've just always been fascinated with Irish music and just all kinds of forms of Celtic music. Back when I first moved to LA in like '78, Robin Williamson and I, the guy that founded the Incredible String Band, we were looking at something we could do, and he turned me on to the uilleann pipes, the Irish pipes. And so they're kind of, in a way, they're like pedal steel, or like, because they're really complicated and they're really reedy and stuff like that. So I got into that, and I said, "Gee, that's really neat. That's really fascinating." And yeah, but I have a career in country music. I better focus on that. And then one day I realized I don't have a career in country music anymore. I can do what I want. So I've been, and my wife and I have been playing Irish music for a number of years, and just been fascinated with it. And I've been lucky enough to play with a fellow named Paddy Keenan, who's my favorite Irish piper, and he's like one of the most world famous guys. And we just played at the Plough and Stars up in the city, and we're going to play some more things. And we toured Ireland, put 2,300 miles on our rental car in like 3 weeks.
So is this where they actually set up a lot of these gigs beforehand, and so you know you're playing here,
Yeah,
on
the
certain
Irish
dates,
tour
right?
was like we had it all set up, and
Yeah.
we just playing. We went zip, 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 all
you go all
through
over the
island.
place.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was great. It was really exciting.
Well, I think now we're getting ready for a
Sure.
little dobro tune.
Yeah,
So if
yeah.
you can,
I'll just play a little solo dobro thing. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, let's talk about this one too.
yes.
This,
Well, I was fascinated before we got on. I was fascinated by this bridge assembly, or this
Sure.
tailpiece assembly on
Yeah.
here. And tell us a little bit, if you can focus in on that black thingy dingy
Okay.
on the back there. Point to that and tell us what that's all about.
Okay, this is a hip shot trilogy designed by Dave Borisoff, who's an old friend of mine, who's a third generation machinist and also plays pedal steel, dobro, and banjo. And so he's kind of whacked out. It's like already. and you can change the. So you can change the pitch of it. So you can change the tuning 3 notes per
Very
each string.
quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's one where I have to play in G minor. So I have to take my A string down to G and then play here. So it's very, and this is all tunable like a pedal steel
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Well, we're ready for you now. Well, let's talk a little bit now about endorsements, because I know over the years you've been approached by some of the manufacturers, and you have relationships with. Let's start with Deering. I know you didn't bring your banjo along,
Right.
but you do play banjo.
I play banjo. I played
for a long time.
during Maple Blossom, and I've been playing it ever since I was in the Jewelers in the 1980s.
And how did that relationship start?
I just heard about these people that had a love for playing the banjo, for building banjos, and just had a love for banjos and just did it right. And I sought them out, and we just got along really well together.
Yeah. And then, of course, Ebo is a company. Now, I know I usually see it, I very rarely see it in pedal steel. It's more guitar players that are use it to give them, but tell us a little bit about that, because I've never seen an Ebo on pedal steel.
Oh yeah, I helped develop the one for pedal steel, and I'm gonna try and get Greg to introduce that. He had it was a limited run in the late 70s, and it does 2 strings, and so it takes and makes the strings ring, and you just play it. You play it and just move your bar and move your pedals.
And then, of course, Oscar Schmidt too. Now,
Oscar Schmidt, yeah, they sought me out because I was playing on Falcon Crest and Knott's Landing.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. Now, you've been on Dallas, you've been on Dynasty, you've been on Falcon Crest.
Yeah.
And now,
one with the one with the car, anyway. But
I've had one of those before.
Yeah, right.
We call them senior moments.
Yes, that's right. But I can't see that.
But that was that was auto harp on.
Yeah, I
those
played
tunes.
and I coached the.
So how did you get that gig though?
From this guy Johnny Oliver that I met when I was working with Hoyt Axton, and that was kind of one of the reasons I moved down to LA from San Jose, is because I was living in San Jose working with Hoyt, and I worked 3 hours and made $471 back in 1976. I said, "Hey, this is pretty good. I could do this." But Johnny was a music one of the music guys for Universal, and then he was also worked for Paramount. So that's how I ended up playing sitar on Taxi.
I mean, you got credits all over the place. I mean, we didn't even start to. I mean, I got this list like a mile long.
I forgot to put that down.
I know that
we made a list.
But you know, I know we're winding down on time, but I want to do a plug. I want to get, if we can get a picture in on Peter's CD, and maybe tell us a little bit, or about this.
Oh yeah. Look at that. Graphics by Pete Grant. Good, steady hand. All right.
I know, this is amazing.
Yeah, this is available. You can go to my website, petegrant.com, and find out how to order it. And it's not widely available, but
it's fun stuff.
Yeah, it's just really pretty stuff.
Well, I almost was crying when you started with the Beatles tune today. I mean, that was just so amazing. I mean, every time I hear Beatles done with different instruments, it's just, I mean, with pedal steel and ukulele and dobro. It's just a profound way of hearing the Beatles. And you know, I almost really got tears in my eyes.
Oh, cool.
But anyway, it's you know, that was really fun. What I also want to talk about is now we're going to end the credits with Hoyt. Tell us a little bit. I mean, you played with Hoyt for a long time, and before we end with the Hoyt thing, tell us a little bit about, you know, how that started and the Hoyt time.
Yeah, it was just a fun time on the road. I got to meet a lot of people. I met Guy Clark with Nicolette Larson introduced me to Guy Clark the first week we were there in Nashville. I ended up going touring Japan with him, playing on the second album and stuff like that. It was just all of a sudden I met all these people. Well, and that's on that record. Jerry Jeff Walker was on it, sang on it, and Rodney Crowell. And ended up recording with and playing with Rodney Crowell. And because of that, I played with Willie Nelson because Willie came in to sit in with us. And so like, it's just all these people.
I know it. The list is a mile long of all these all the people that you've played with over the years. And you know, if there's one thing you're going to tell any of the young kids that are starting out,
get a day job.
Keep the day. Now I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, well, you're going to be marketing yourself. And so you need to have some business skills, and you need to have some organizational skills, because being a professional musician is not sitting around and playing all day. It's all the other things, and making time for yourself to play to practice and stuff. So in real life, make time for yourself to practice and schedule it, you know, because you're always going to have to schedule it. They're not going to, somebody's not going to say, oh, you can practice now. You know, no, you have to make it happen.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on. We could have spent at least another couple of hours
Oh, yeah.
doing this thing. We
Yeah.
didn't even touch half of it.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Pete, for joining
It's my
us today.
pleasure.
And we're going to go out listening to you're playing with Hoyt on this tape going out.
Sure.
And thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
It was a great
Thanks.
pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Isn't it strange? You never see a car on the Indian Range. Hey boys, take me back. I wanna ride you on a moose Cadillac. Hey boys, take me back. I wanna ride you on a moose Cadillac. Hey boys, take me back. I wanna ride you on a moose Cadillac. Hey boys, take me back. I wanna ride you on a moose Cadillac. Yeah, people, didn't you know the prisoners ain't got no place to go? Took old Geronimo by storm, tore all the feathers off his uniform. Took his land and they won't give it back, and they sent Geronimo